Buongiorno and welcome back to our new course of Italian for beginners. So there is a course, as I said, for complete beginners, and I have uploaded the first lesson, as I'm going to call them. So lesson 1, or prima lezione. Although I think from now on I will stick to the English structure and just call them all in the same way in Italian as well. So lesson 1, lezione 1, lezione 2, which is what it is today. Lezione 2, lesson 2. Thank you very much for subscribing, liking, and commenting on the videos, and please keep doing that. Also, click on the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video, and do share them with whoever you think may benefit from them. Also, I'm going to remind you that I do private lessons. So doesn't matter where you are in the world because I work online, obviously. So if you're interested, one-to-one or very small groups, maximum 3. So do contact me if you are interested. We can have a chat. Right. So if you have seen lesson 1, lezione 1, that's where I have introduced a very crucial verb, the verb to be, essere. And we have seen how to give some information about ourselves, basic information, but very important information. So as I said in the previous video, I will keep adding to that. So we'll follow a bit of a line really, so that it makes sense what you're doing. And as I said, I'll keep adding, so things will get a little bit more complex, but gradually, so you can follow. And by the way, if there is something that is not clear, or you want to ask some questions, do ask them in the comment and I will reply. If it's an easy answer, I will reply in the comment. Otherwise, I can upload another video for that. Right, so what we did last time, as I said, a few questions and answers to give some basic information about ourselves. And today we are going to follow up from there. So today we are going to see a new verb, different type of verb. We saw an irregular verb. Irregular meaning that it changes a lot when you conjugate it, when you change it according to the person. Instead, today we are going to see a regular verb, which instead doesn't change much. And then we are going to see a couple of examples of how to use this verb, and also questions and answers, including a negative answer. So let me share the document I have prepared. Yeah. So as you can see, we have, as I said, a new verb, which is a regular verb. Abitare, as you can see, and it is something that you can use to do, being careful in general. What does it look like? Obviously, you can see immediately that it is the verb to live in English, but can you see it also looks like to inhabit? So to inhabit a place or to live in a place. Not many people will say, I inhabit in England, or I inhabit England. But obviously depending on the context. Right, so as I said, this is a regular verb. If you saw the previous video, we used an irregular verb, which was very different from what I called the original form of the verb. Remember, when we conjugated it, it was quite different. And it was exactly the same in English. Instead, here we're using a regular verb. So when we conjugate it, it's still very similar to, as I said, the original form of the verb, which has a name, this original form. Original form is not a grammar, it's not grammar terminology or grammar description. I'm using just words to describe what is called infinitive. The infinitive of a verb is what you find, as I said previously, in a dictionary. And then from there, from the infinitive, you can conjugate the verb according to the person and according to the tense. The tense meaning, is it the present, the past, the future, etc. So it is called infinitive in English. In Italian, it's called infinito. So abitare, as we can see, means to live. And if you remember, the order of the persons is always the same. I'm going to pronounce them to see how the pronunciation is, obviously. Starting from the very beginning, io abito, I live. Tu abiti, you live. Lui abita, he lives. Lei abita, she lives. Noi abitiamo, we live. Voi abitate, you live. Loro abitano, they live. A little reminder, in English, you do have you live and again you live. You look at the difference in Italian, tu, which is the singular when you're talking to one person, and voi, plural, when you're talking to two or more people. Plural, so do not confuse them. Anything else to say? This is, as I said, regular verbs. I do repeat the same things at times, but when you're learning, it is useful to hear the same thing over and over because we don't retain everything, all this new information, if we only hear it once. So I do tend to repeat it a bit. If you want to know a little bit more about conjugation of regular verbs in the present tense, I do have a video uploaded. I can't remember the exact title, but it is conjugation or maybe just regular verbs in the present tense, which is where I explain the pattern, basically the pattern that you can follow to conjugate regular verbs, and maybe ideas on how to memorize this pattern if it works for you. It's a pattern that I worked out myself. It's not difficult, it's nothing difficult, or it's just ideas. And then everybody has different ways to memorize things to make sense of what they're learning. So how are we going to use this verb to live? In our first lesson, we saw how to ask questions. If you remember, we asked, who are you? Where do you live? Where are you from? And maybe that was it. So we're going to see similar examples, but we're also going to see how to answer in an affirmative and in a negative way, and how to ask a different type of question as well. So the very first example is very similar to what we saw last time in Lezione 1. a reminder, this tu and also io in the answer, they are in brackets because we can drop them, meaning we don't necessarily need them unless we are using them for emphasis. However, they're there, especially at the beginning. So you can also learn the position in the sentence whenever you need them. So the first question is, tu dove abiti? So where do you live? We have you, if you look here, singular, abiti, live. And then a word that we learned last time, dove, which means where. Where. So, tu dove abiti? Where do you live? Literally, where you live. The answer, io abito a Roma in Italia. I live in Rome in Italy. And also, I'm going to remind you again that if you want to know a little bit more about these little words, this a and in, there is a video as well that I have uploaded about how to translate to from English into Italian, especially to after the verb to go to a place. So these we can ask this question like we saw last time: who are you? Where do you live? Where are you from? However, we can also ask a question in a slightly different way, depending on the situation. Do you live in Rome? Are you Marco? Are you from Venice? So we can ask in a different way, again, depending on context and situation. So this is what we have here. The first question we ask in information they will really have no idea about. The second one, tu abiti a Roma? Do you live in Rome? To this question, we can answer not with an information, but with a confirmation of what we've been asked, or with a negative, if it is not the correct information. So you can ask with sì, abito a Roma. Yes, I live in Rome. No, non abito a Roma. No, I don't live in Rome. I'm actually going to add the io here, just to see where the position is in the sentence. However, as I said, we don't need it. Can you see we don't need it because the endings for each verb is specific for that person. The O is for io, myself. And the E here, or I in English, is for tu, for you. So there is a different letter that tells us already which person we are talking about or talking to. And that's why, unlike English, we can drop the person. So recapping a little bit. So we can ask either, where do you live? Asking for information, or we can ask if we have an idea about something, we can ask the question in a different way. In this case, we need to answer in an affirmative or in a negative way. So the negative word would be non. The position of non is just before the verb, the conjugated verb. We'll see some other examples. Here, I'm taking a little bit examples from the previous lesson, so they are connected in some way. In the previous lesson, lesson 1, lezione 1, we asked, who are you? The answer was, I am Marco. We can also say, are you Marco? Sei Marco? And you can answer, sì, sono Marco. Yes, I am Marco. Or no, non sono Marco. No, I am not Marco. As you can see here, I have dropped the to, which should go at the very beginning of the question. Oh, here I've dropped the io. As I said, it really doesn't sound natural if you keep using it. Another example, very similar. I'm just using, as I said, some sentences that I used in the previous lesson. Sei di Venezia? Are you from Venice? Sì, sono di Venezia. Yes, I am from Venice. No, non sono di Venezia. No, I am not from Venice. So we've got again, we have sì, which is yes. We have no, which is no. And we have non, which is the negative. For example, would be the not or don't in English. Something that to keep in mind is when we have this type of questions, the last few questions that I have used here, where we have, let's say, half information, we are almost sometimes making an assumption, are you Italian? Or are you from Venice? Are you Marco? Something to notice here is we can ask a question, sei italiano? Question mark, are you Italian? Or we can just say, sei italiano, full stop, which I'm going to add now. In this case, this is an affirmative sentence. So this is a question. This is just I can't think of the words now. Yeah, it's just a sentence, which is not a question. So here, can you see the word order is exactly the same? However, in the first one, you're asking a question. The second is just an affirmative sentence. So where is the difference? You have to learn gradually. It's not obvious immediately. You would understand a little bit from the context, but also mainly from the intonation of a person. If you're asking a question, then the intonation raises towards the end of the question. Sei italiano? Instead, if it's just the affirmative sentence, is sei italiano. You are Italian. Are you Italian? You are Italian. The difference in Italian is that you have exactly the same words in the same word order. I think this is it. So we have seen on our second lesson, lezione due, we have seen a regular verb. As I said, do go to my other video, which talks about the present tense of regular verbs to see how to conjugate them. We have seen two different types of questions. The questions where you're asking us an information that you really have no idea about. So you are expecting an information from the other person. And then a question where you are, let's say, making a guess or an assumption as well, where the answer would be an affirmative answer, yes, or a negative answer, no. And finally, we saw that sometimes a question and an affirmative sentence can have exactly the same words and same word order. However, the intonation would be different. So if it is a question, the intonation goes up at the end. Right, so this was lezione due, lesson 2. There will be obviously many more lessons and adding to what we have done today. And I hope this was useful and clear. If it's not, or even If you just want to add a comment, if you want to ask a question, please do so in the comments. And for now, I will say goodbye, and I will see you on our next lesson, which will be lezione 3, lesson 3. Bye bye. Ciao.